Everybody, this is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library. And I want to apologize for missing a class, missing a tutorial. I had one lady say, "Oh, I have a routine. On Fridays, I get up, I get dressed, I get my coffee, I turn on the tutorial, I turn on YouTube and do my tutorial." There was no tutorial. Felt so bad. And she was in my class telling me that, and I just felt horrible. But due to circumstances beyond my ability to control, we had to delay last week's tutorial, and now we skipped one. So what I'm doing today is kind of a mega tutorial where we're going to do a whole set. So we're going to do a necklace, a bracelet, and earring in this set as my way of saying I'm so sorry for missing one. So it's going to be fun. Anybody who knows me knows that I love links. I love different links that you can't see anywhere else or that you don't ever see together. So we're going to do some links that I think I've created. Every time I say that, and then I might months later see where somebody else did it years ago. So it really is nothing new under the sun, but I'm taking what is kind of a standard um, what's called a goddess pattern, and I'm breaking it up into links. And then the other links that I'm using with it are something that I just made up. So we're going to do that. This necklace is going to be, we're going to talk about that too. This necklace will be approximately 18 to 20 inches long. And I just wanted to mention the fact that in my classes, I usually provide supplies that for a standard 18-inch necklace, that just comes right there to your collarbone usually. So I know somebody in class, and they tried this. This is actually the necklace that we did today. Somebody in class tried theirs on, and oh, they felt like it was just too close for comfort. And this is the standard 18 inches. So, I mean, I didn't get it at first, but honestly, when I make my bracelets, as you probably know, if you've seen me do this before, some people like their bracelets nice and loose and it can go up and down their arm. That drives me crazy. I like mine nice and close around my wrist. So, aesthetics aside, jewelry comfort really is subjective. So if you want a longer necklace and you're in a situation where you're only getting 18 inches, consider purchasing extender chains. You can get those in all different colors. An extender chain is just a small piece of chain that clips onto any necklace that you have that clips, and it will make it possible for you to make the necklace longer. You can get them in different lengths and different colors, 1 inch, 2 inch, 4 inches. Everybody doesn't like their necklaces the same inches and the same length, and it depends on what you're wearing it with. So that's a good thing to consider, is to buy a um, extender chain so that you can make your necklace to the length you prefer. That's it for that. Let's go ahead and get started on our necklace. You're going to need your usual tools, your round nose pliers, the barrels around, all the way around. They start bigger at the bottom and taper up to almost a tip near the end of the plier. Sorry, little frog in my throat. Then we have our square nose pliers, which can be a little confusing because the barrels are slightly rounded, so people confuse that with the round nose. But if you put it side to side with the round ones, you can see the difference. So it's usually got a broader base, and on the inside, it's completely flat. And when you're buying these in the store, make sure that they have a smooth surface on the inside. You don't want the ones that have those little grips on it. Somebody in the class said it's kind of hard to tell when you're buying them online. Well, if you go, most sites will show you different angles of the bracelet, and you should be able to zoom in and see whether there are grips or ridges on the inside that you don't want when you're using this type of jewelry making with soft wire because it will chew up the wire. You don't want that until you get to your wire cutter. And it does exactly what it says. It cuts your wire. That's it. That's all you need for this as far as tools. The other things that I'm using are 6 millimeter little round wooden beads. And I'm also using 6 millimeter jump rings. You can't see that. Six, you'll be able to see it when we get down here. 6 millimeter jump rings. Now for the goddess part of the link, I would suggest that you use jump rings that are the same size as or not too much smaller or larger than the bead. That's for aesthetic purposes for the most part, because that is what makes it look the way it looks. So you want to take that into consideration. The other thing I'm using are these really, really pretty. I'm using Midnight Blue. These are pressed recycled glass beads that come from Ghana. Ghana has got to be the most artistic place on the continent because so many of the things that I get come from there. So these come from Ghana. This one that I'm using is Midnight Blue. It's gorgeous. The 6 millimeter wooden beads that I'm using are black. So I've got black and blue. Yes, Louisa, I did that for you. She said she likes black and blue together. So these colors go together really well. And I'm using silver wire and silver metal beads to make it just pop. So I am really looking forward to this. I hope that you'll enjoy making this, and I hope that you'll make it as well. So that's it. I'm using 6 millimeter rounds. My little, let's see how big these are. My little pressed recycled glass ones are millimeters. I think they're about 8. Yes, 8 millimeters. I'm using 4 millimeter little metal beads and 24 gauge wire for the entire thing. So that's all we need today. So let's go ahead. Oh, and a lobster clasp. So let's go ahead and get down here to the mat and get started. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is make the goddess weave link. So for that, I'm going to use 4.5 inches of 24 gauge wire. Again, each of these links, the length of each of the links depends on how big you make your loops. So that can determine, of course, it's going to determine the length of your necklace. Mine is going to be somewhere between 18 and 20 inches when I finish. And again, it depends on how big you make your loops, how big or how small you make those loops. So what I'm going to do is measure about 2 inches from the tip here, myself 2 inches. I'm going to twist my wire. So what I'm going to do is bend my wire across each, just open up these little strands here, these little legs. I call them legs. They're not legs, but my little wire ends. And then I'm going to twist them. And I'm doing what's called an electrician's twist. In other words, one is not wrapping around the other. I'm taking my forefinger on the top one, my thumb on the bottom one, and I'm turning them both at the same time. So I'm getting a nice twist, not a wrap. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to wrap that all the way to the tip, or as close as I can get to that tip. And if it starts to get a little off balance, like that one kind of squiggled over to the side, just adjust it again. Make sure these are open so that you can get a good solid twist in there. And make sure you're turning them both at the same time so that one doesn't end up wrapping around each other, because that's not the look that we're after. And notice how I'm moving up the wire so that I have a good solid grip. It's not hard to do with this 24 gauge wire because it is very, very soft. Okay. So now that I've got that nicely twisted, let's go ahead and get some of the little kinks out. I'm going to grab my wire cutter and cut off the untwisted part. Put my hand there so that these two little ends don't go flying off to some place that I can't find them again. Get those out of the way. And now I'm going to bend my wire right here at the bottom of the twist. Right here where the twisted part and the untwisted part meet, I'm going to bend my wire over to the side like so. Then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, slide this twisted wire in between the prongs of the pliers. I'm going to slide it down. I have a particular size that I want mine to be. I don't want it to be too big. I'm going to go about a third of the way down my pliers to make my loop. So that's where I am, right there. And notice how the wire is going straight out to the side. It's horizontal. The untwisted wire is going down the side here. If I can get a good view. And then the the pliers are also horizontal going the other direction. So then I'm going to bring the twisted wire over the top of the pliers and down the side until it's running parallel with the untwisted wire. Now I need to move this barrel, this plier barrel that doesn't have wire in it, out of the way so I can continue to bring this short tail over to the side to make my loop. So I'm going to hold on to my wires. I'm going to open my pliers up, reposition them off to the side so that this one's out of my way. And then I'm going to bring that short tail under the pliers and over to the side. So that's what I have. My wrist is twisted all weird, so it's kind of hard for me to. So that's what I have. I have a nice loop. Yay. So now I'm going to wrap this short tail around the untwisted wire. Hold it on that side there. And wrap that around. And I want to wrap it, the first wrap, as close to the pliers as I can get. And the second wrap goes right under, and this is very short, so I'm going to grab it with my other pliers and take that second wrap just under the first one. There we go. And you only need 1.5 wraps or 2 wraps if you want it. You don't have to have that much wire on there, but it does help extend your link and make it a little longer if you want. So then I'm going to push down that little tip. Just going to push it down against the other wraps as close to the wire as I can get so that when I'm wearing this, I don't feel anything scratching me. There we go, nice and smooth. Yes. And now I'm going to do the actual link. So I'm going to spread out my little wires like so. Well, the first thing I'm actually going to do is put a silver bead on, one of my little metal beads. And those of you who get kits, some of them will have silver, some will have gold, so that you have the option of those 2 colors. So I'm going to slide my silver bead, and if you want to, you can, these are uneven, so I can cut it down to where it's even if it's easier for you to do that. Cut that little uneven part off. grab my little 4 millimeter round bead and slide that over both of those wires. Yeah, there we go. Slide that down until it meets the wrap, just like so. Then I'm going to open up my little wires, just separate them. These are the beads I'm using. These are my little 6 millimeter wooden rounds. I'm going to put, oh, before I do that, we're going to be using a lot of jump rings. A lot of jump rings. So what you want to do is get those prepared. Let me see. Looks like these are all in pretty good shape. When you buy these, they aren't always the way you would want them. And by that, I mean the little opening may not be the way you want it. We want the little openings, the little tips to meet. And sometimes they're a little overlapping. I'm going to do that on purpose. Sometimes they come slightly overlapping like that. So you have to correct it. So the way to do that is just grab another pair of pliers, find the little opening, and just kind of open and close it and scoot it down or over until the little tips meet. Come on. There we go. So until those little tips meet, because we want them backed up against each other and not off to any side. Focusing. Come on, focus. Okay, I can't seem to find it. Here. Oh my goodness. There, my goodness gracious. So anyway, there's my little tips. I want them together and I want them closed. I don't want any gaps in there. So what you want to do is go through and prepare all your rings. Make sure that they are all nicely backed up against each other, no gaps in between. That one has a little gap. Let's fix that. There we go. Yes. Slightly off. And you're going to have to just take a little time for that because the last thing you want is for your jump rings to be open because that's one way to for your necklace to fall off or your bracelet to fall off. And I have people come back all the time and say, I lost my bracelet. It just fell off. They don't know where it went. They don't know how. So that's one of those things. Sometimes your finishings are the most important part of it. The look of it is great, but if it's not going to hold up, then you've done yourself a disservice. So just take a little time and make sure that all of your finishings are in good shape. Okay, so I had somebody tell me that somebody was looking at their bracelet. They said, "Oh, that's so pretty." So she's holding her bracelet out, showing it to somebody, and it just dropped right off her. She was so embarrassed, poor thing. It was a jump ring fail, and it was because she didn't have it completely closed. She was so embarrassed. Anyway, look out for that. So let's get back to this. I hear funny stories. Let's get back to this. I've already slid my little metal bead over both of the wires of my link. I opened up my wires until they're just separated them. And so I'm going to pick up one of my black wooden rounds. I have black, you'll all have different ones. And I'm going to slide that on one of my wires. just like that. Then I'm going to bring the wires together and I'm going to grab 3 jump rings, 3 of them nicely closed up, and I'm going to slide them over both of my wires. 1, 2, and 3, and just let them drop down on top of my bead. Then I'm going to open up my wires again, grab another one of my rounds, and put that on the other wire. So I've got 1 bead on this side and 1 bead on this side. And if you're thinking, how am I going to remember which side? The side that you see going over along the side of the previous bead is with the wire. That's the side that doesn't have a bead on it. Okay, add that bead to that side. Grab 3 more jump rings and slide them over both of those wires. 1, 2, and 3. Make sure they're both over both of the wires. Let them drop down over that bead. You can see where we're going. We're getting a little zigzag pattern. And then put the 3rd bead on the other wire. Isn't that neat? And then we're going to grab our other silver bead, slide that over both of those wires. There we go. And there it is. There's my little link. Yay. So now I need to make a loop on the other side. Now, I find it's easier to do my twist down here where the wooden bead is. I have a better grasp than I would if I was trying to hold on to the metal bead. So I'm going to go ahead and cross my wires over, hold on to my beads, give it a couple of twists. Now you can go ahead and twist it all the way up and then add this bead if you want to, or you can add this bead and then continue the twist. It's up to you. It will achieve the same result. So I'm going to go ahead and twist that up until I get to the end. And you basically need about 1 inch or so of twisted wire to make your loop, again, depending on how big or how small you make your loops. I use all of the wire. By the time you start with the first one, you're starting with the 2 inches and then you twist it up. And by the time you've twisted it, you have about 1.5 inches of wire left, which is plenty. And you can adjust the size of your loop to the size that you want and then cut off what you don't need. So I've got that all twisted. I'm going to cut that untwisted part off. Get rid of that. Slide my little silver bead on. And let's go ahead and make my other loop. And I want my loops to be going the same direction. So this loop is going right to left. I want this one to go right to left. So I'm going to bend my wire over to the side like so. Same direction this loop is going. Grab my round nose pliers. Slide that twisted tail in between my pliers, about 1/3 of the way down my pliers, just like I did the first one. Bring that tail over the top of the pliers and down the side where my beads are. Hold on to everything, open my pliers up and move the barrel that doesn't have any wire in it out of the way, and then bring the wire under the pliers and over the beads to make my loop. Now I'm going to check. I see that this one is a little bit bigger than this one. So I'm going to go back in and make that one a little bit bigger to match it. There we go. Then I'm going to not do anything with this because I need to link it to my next link. So let's put it to the side and grab my other link. Okay, so for this one, we're using our little recycled glass rondelles. And for that, I need to also have 4.5 inches of wire. And I'm going to twist the entire wire. Okay, so I'm going to start here about the center. Bring my wires across each other like so. Get a nice spread there and start twisting. Again, I'm using that same electrician's twist that I did with the other link and just twist. Now, if for any reason you don't have good grip with your fingers and this starts to twist around on this side, if you want to, you can always use your pliers to hold it instead. Same thing, but just make sure you get a good grip. Otherwise, the whole thing is going to turn. And it's still turning. Stop that. A good grip. And just twist till you get all the way to the tip. If I move it up, I have better grip. If I'm way down here, I don't have as much leverage. So let's move it up, twist, twist, and twist until I can't twist no more. Until I can't twist anymore. And then I'm going to cut the untwisted part off. Get that done and out of my way. And then I'm going to twist the other side. So I'm going to turn it over. Let's see, we're twisting this direction. I'm twisting away from me. And again, it's hard to hold this because it's very thin and it's very twisty. So I'm going to grab my pliers and let them do the holding. Back to my little electrician's twist and twist away. And again, this is very, very malleable wire. It's 24 gauge, very, very thin. It doesn't require, oops, twisted one around the other. It doesn't require a whole heck of a lot of strength. You're just turning it, both of them at the same time. And again, I always just think of it as my forefinger on top, my thumb on the bottom, twist them both at the same time. Move it up a little, do some more twisting. And twist until I can't twist anymore. Okay. Cut the untwisted little part off. Get rid of that. And now I have a completely twisted length of wire. I started out with 4.5 inches. Let's see how much I have now that I've twisted it all up. Because it's kind of hard for you to know how much you need until you decide how big you want your links to be. I mean, it's how much wire the beads take up plus how much space your links are going to take up. So I would suggest that you start out with 2 pieces of 12-inch wire and make your link. And once you've made your link, measure the rest of the wire, and that'll tell you how much you used. For instance, if you had 12 inches, you made your link, you cut off the wire that you didn't use and measured that, and you had 7.5 inches left. That means you needed 4.5 inches of wire. That way you don't have as much waste. So I started off with 4.5 inches. I've twisted it, and now I have, oops, now let's get that straightened out. There we go. Got a little bumps in there. I've got just over, not quite 3 3/8, just over 3 1/4. And there's 3 3/8. So it's right in between the two. So I lost about 1 1/5 inches from the twisting. So let's see how we do with that. So now what I'm going to do is again make a bend. I know that this takes up maybe 1/2 inch. Let's just check just very quickly and see how much that's going to take up. And you might have to, because this is going to have some little bumps in it, you might want to take your pliers and straighten those out so that you can get that little 4 mm bead on. You might have to twist it a little bit to get it on there. I'm just putting it on so I can measure and see how much space that's taking up. So that's taking up less than 1/2 inch. So the rest of that I can use. That's maybe the 3/8 of an inch. So I have a good 1.5 inches that I can use for my loops, and I can take that off or I can leave it on. It's up to you. You don't want to deal with it flip-flopping around. You can take it off. I'm going to just leave it there. So I need about 1.5 inches of wire in order to make my loop. So I'm going to bend it back, grab my round nose pliers, slide the wire in between the pliers down about 1/3 of the way down my pliers like I did with the other one. Bring that tail over the top and down the side until it meets the beads or the wire on the other side, so it's running parallel. Then I'm going to hold on to the wire, reposition it so that that bare barrel is out of the way, and bring my wire under the pliers and off to the side so that I have a nice little loop. So I have a nice little loop. And now I'm going to not do anything with that because I'm going to need to link that. So I'm going to leave that open and get my beads back on here. Before I put my second bead on, this little link has a little embellishment with my jump rings. So I was just going to just stack some jump rings in between, just for a little bit of embellishment. But of course, with the jump rings having such wide openings, they just kind of flip-flopped around. So I thought, what am I going to do now? Well, so I just put this little 4 mm bead on just to give it a little support. And then I put a bunch of jump rings on. In this case, I put 4 on. And they just slide down around that little 4 mm bead. They still flop around a little bit, but they have something that kind of holds them together. Then I put my other rondelle on, my little glass rondelle, and this is what I have. Just a cute little edgy thing I've got going there. So then I'm going to bend my wire back. Now, I need to wrap this, so I want a little bit of space there so that I can do my wrap. And if you can see, I want a little bit of space there so that I can wrap this little tail between the bottom of my loop and my beads. So I'm going to go over here to the other side. I'm going to put my pliers in about 1/4 of the way, about 1/4 of an inch from the tip. And then I'm going to put a bend in my wire. Bend going the same direction as the other side. So now that I have, now I'll have a little space for both sides in order to do my wrap. Then I'm going to grab my round pliers, slide my little wire on about 1/3 of the way down my pliers, just like I've been doing all along. Bring that tail over the top of my pliers and down the side, like so. Hold on to everything so that the wire doesn't shift. I'm going to open my pliers up, move that unwired barrel out of the way, clamp back down, and bring that tail wire over to the side between my pliers and my bead. So this is what I have. Two little open loops on either side. And I'm leaving them open because I need to attach. So I'm going to attach this to my other link. Either one of these loops would do. Just slide that in, close loop in the open loop, and wrap it closed. So the way I do that is to grab my square pliers. Do not put them inside the loop. It's going to be kind of hard to put the pliers in the loop with the other link. So instead of going inside the loop, you're just going to go right alongside that loop, right on top of it, and hold it that way. And then you're going to bring your tail, that twisted tail between the pliers and the bead, as close as you can get to those pliers for the first wrap. Then you're going to do a second wrap right under that. And that's really short. So I'm going to use my pliers, my other pliers, to guide that around. Like so. Then I'm going to cut off that little excess tip here that I don't need, as close as you can get to the wrap. Just cut that off. And then use your square pliers to push down that little sharp tip. Here we go. Now I'm going to attach this to the rest of my necklace that I've already started. Yay. Isn't that pretty? I love it. All right, so I'm going to take my closed loop that I have here and slide that into the open link. And you can see I'm alternating the links. I'm going one goddess link, which is this one, and the rondelle link, I'm attaching that. You don't have to do that. You can do two of these and one of these, or two of these and one of those. You can link these together any pattern that you like. This is just the pattern that I'm using. So once I've got that linked in there, I can close this loop up. So again, I'm going to grab my square pliers. I'm not inside the loop. I'm at the side of the loop. I'm just holding on to what I call the face, which is the flat part. And I'm going to wrap that tail between the pliers and the bead. Around there one time and two. That's all I'm wrapping. I'm just filling in that little space down there between where the little stem was. And I'm going to cut that off as close as I can get to the wraps. Okay. Get rid of that little end that I'm not using, and then use my square pliers to push that sharp tip down. And then I always check with my finger to see if I can feel it. If I can't feel it, it's safe to wear. Okay, here we go. I'm going to push that down a little bit. It's up a little higher than I want it to be. I like it to go down in between the reps. There. So there it is. There, all these little pieces of metal out of the way. There is my chain. Isn't that neat? Let's measure it. Let's see how long it is. So this is a 12, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 3/4, almost 19 inches. And when I put my lobster clasp on, that'll make it 19 inches. Let's do that right now. So all I need to do, get back over there, I'm not using you yet. All I need to do is grab my lobster clasp and slide that little loop on the clasp inside or along the twisted wire until it lands right inside my loop. Then I'm going to hold on to the side of my loop and I'm going to wrap that loop closed. You can do two, if you do, you can do 1.5 wraps. I wouldn't do just one because that means the little tip is just meeting the other wire. You want to make sure that it's completely closed. So give yourself at least 1.5 wraps around. And I'm going to cut that off as close as I can get to the wraps, holding on to this tip so it doesn't go flying across the room. Oops. Rid of that. And where's the little tip? I'm going to push it down. There it is. I can feel it. Okay, push that down nice and close to the other wraps. There we go. And that, everybody, is my necklace. There it is. I think it's very simple chain, but beautiful. Just lovely. And then you're going to make a bracelet that matches it. It's going to be the exact same design, just shorter. Isn't that neat? Okay, so now what do we want? We want a pair of earrings that kind of goes with this. And so I thought the prettiest link would be the goddess link. You can do this, this is perfectly fine, or you can link the two together and make a nice long dangle, or even three together if you want it really long. But I'm going to use the goddess link and make a pair, the goddess link weave. Um, and make a pair of earrings. But you're going to get to see what it normally looks like if you don't cut it into links, because it's going to be one long weave. And then I'm going to roll it into a hoop. That to the side. And for that, I need a bunch of these little guys. Now, and it depends how big you want your hoop to be as to how many of these 6 millimeter rounds you use and how many of the jump rings you use. I'm going to use, and how much wire you use. I've got 6 inches of wire here times 2. And that's the same with everything. Did I say get 2 pieces of wire for everything? I think you saw that because you have to twist it together. Okay, so for this one, what I'm going to do is again measure 2 inches from the end. 2 inches from the end. Twist the wires. Oops, let's get this together. Then I'm going to twist the wires together just like I did with the other links. Twist it. I did a lot of twist and nut on this one with all of your links. Okay, and again, I'm going to twist it until I can't twist anymore at the tip. And I think I counted one time as like 30 twists for the 2-inch piece. But I just did that because I was bored. Once I've twisted as much as I can, I'm going to cut the untwisted part off and make a loop like I've been doing all along. Let's get that straightened out a little bit. There we go. Okay, and then right here, I'm almost finished. Right here at the bottom where the twist and the untwisted wire meet, I'm going to put a nice little bend in my wire, grab my round nose pliers, and make a loop like I've been doing all along, sliding it down about a third of the way down my pliers. Bring that over the top and down the side of one of the barrels of my wire, like so, until it's running parallel with the untwisted wire. Then I'm going to move this barrel out of the way, that bare one, bring that twisted wire under the pliers and over to the side until I have a nice little loop. Loops come back. Then I'm going to grab my square pliers and I'm going to wrap the twisted wire around the untwisted wire. I'm going to wrap it around 1.5 times. I'm going to use the pliers to squeeze that closer together, nice and snug. And then I'm going to cut tail of that wire off as close as I can get to the other twists. Grab my square pliers and push that little tip down as close as I can get to the wires. Oops, I can still feel that get down there. These are the things that take time. You don't want to get in a rush because you can't really put that down a little bit more. You can't really rush, and you shouldn't rush. It's art. It needs to take its time, and you need to go with that time. Here we go. All right, so on the links that we did, we started with a silver bead, but for the earring, we're not going to do that. We're just going to start with the black bead. We're going to go ahead and put that on one of the wires. Grab your jump rings because we need a lot of them for this. Grab 3 of your jump rings, put them over both of the wires again. 1, 2, and 3. And I like to put them on one at a time because I think it's easier for me to see that it's over both of the wires and that one of them it didn't accidentally just slip onto one. Okay, and then I'll let that drop down. Then I'm going to find the wire that doesn't have a bead on it, this one. I'm going to slide my black bead on and then put 3 jump rings on again. 1, 2, 3. Double check, make sure it's over all of them, and then find the wire that doesn't have the bead on it again. This one has the bead, this one doesn't. It's kind of easy to tell a couple of ways to tell which wire has the bead on it because it's kind of poking off to the side, and then you put the bead on the other side. So there's the start. That's what my links look like. We're going to keep on going. Grab another 3 of these lovely jump rings. Put them on both of the wires. Let it drop down. Grab another bead and put it on the opposite wire. I have a bead on this one, so I'm going to put this bead on the other one. And hold everything with one hand. That didn't work. Okay, put the jump rings on 2 wires again. And the bead on the opposite wire. Kind of get the drift here. Jump rings. And bead. And you keep doing this until we have a nice long chain of the jump rings and the beads. Jump ring, jump ring, jump ring. That jump ring jumped. And the bead. And now this is more traditional of the goddess pattern. It's just one long zigzag pattern, just like this. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, let's put some jump rings on. I might finish the rest of this off camera so you don't have to watch me doing the same. See, I missed one. This went right in between the two. Always check. So that you don't have to watch me doing the same thing over and over for the next 5 minutes or so. That bead on and my jump rings. So I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, and then I will come back and show you how to finish it off. 1, 2, 3, and I'll be back in a sec. I'll be back just like this. I don't know if you heard that snap. Okay, so here is my little weave for my earrings. Isn't that pretty? So now what we want to do at this other end with our last 1.5 inches or so is go ahead and do my twists. Hold everything in place. Twist my wire. And I only need a few twists because this side I'm just going to wrap around under the loop in order to close up my hoop. I'm just going to give it a few wraps until I have about maybe 1 inch or so of wire. Or you can just twist the whole thing and then cut off what you don't need. It's entirely up to you. Here we go. That should do it. Let's cut off the rest. And now I'm going to shape this. I want to shape this into a hoop. So I'm shaping it at the flat part. And by that I mean the 2 beads are side to side, and I'm bringing it around in a circle. Now, you can use something to shape it. I just use my fingers. I just want to get it into a loop, um, a nice little hoop for my necklace. I mean, for my earrings. Sorry about that. So there's my little hoop, and now I just need to wrap this around my little loop here at the top just to close it up. So I'm going to wrap this twisted wire that I have around there. This is why I only wrapped this one and a half times because I don't want a whole bunch of wire sticking out of here. Just enough to get it closed. So 1.5 times is plenty. Cut off the tail. Get rid of that. And then use my square pliers to push down that little tip. And there's my earring. Grab any ear wire that you would like to use and slide that on my closed ring. Just open the whatever ear wire you have, just open up the open loop and slide it inside of the closed loop. Close that back up, nice and secure. And there's my earring. Nice little hoop. Aren't those cute? So I have my nice little earrings. I have my bracelet. Up here. And I have my necklace. Where's my clasp? There it is. So there we are. There's my little set. Isn't that neat? I love it. All right, so I hope I'm forgiven for missing a tutorial by giving you 3 pieces instead of just one. Got a nice little matching set that you can wear together or individually, and I think it would be beautiful either way. Let's put it on a dress form, or not a dress form. That's my sewing coming up to terminology coming out to play. Let's put it on a little form so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, I couldn't resist. I said I was going to put it on a form, but I just couldn't resist modeling it myself. I love this very, very much. So here are my 3 pieces, my bracelet, my necklace, my earrings. I like these a lot. Okay, so those of you who get kits, you'll get the pressed glass, the recycled glass. Some of them are going to be patterned, some of them are going to be plain. It just depends on what you get with your kit. They're all different colors, and they're all different. They're so vibrant. I don't know where they find glass, these colors, unless they dye it or something. But it's done in Ghana. It's very labor intensive. It's just amazing the things that they make. I would just love more than anything to just be able to go there, watch them do it, and buy it from them directly instead of going through my supplier. But I don't have that option or that kind of budget. Otherwise, I would. But here are our 3 pieces. I hope that you like them, and I hope that you enjoy this, and I hope that you'll let me know one way or the other. Again, my apologies for the delay, and I hope that you will get in contact with me and just give me some feedback. You can contact me at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRYGIN20@gmail.com. You can leave comments and pictures at the DeKalb County Library Facebook page, which is facebook.com/DeKalb Library. That's DeKalb Or you can leave just comments on the library YouTube page, which is youtube.com/DeKalb County Public Library. You need to say the whole thing. DeKalbCountyPublic Let me know what you think, what you thought, how you feel, whether it's good or bad. I want to know so that I can improve if I need to. And Let me know what you'd like to see. Let me know where you are too. You don't have to give me your address or anything like that. But where are you in the world? What country? What part of the country? What if you're in the United States? Where in the United States? I love hearing from everybody. So that's it. That's our program and our pieces and our collection for the day. So until next time, I hope you have a great week and a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.